the notes that Rabbi Cashapp made on this Kislev, notes of his thoughts about the meaning of this Kislev. In these notes, he speaks about how Hashem made the world in order to reveal the Torah, and although Adam and Eve were entrusted to keep the Torah in Gan Eden, the ultimate fulfillment of God's intent was only when the Torah was given physically, not through our forefathers, although they were tested and they had to have sacrifice to overcome their challenges. But the ones who were able to bring God's essence to the world, only the Jewish people after Mount Sinai, through the fulfilling of mitzvahs, physical mitzvahs. And so too, the Rebbe says about Yitzchak Kislev, that it's only through the Torah being given, the inner dimension of the Torah being given a way of logic and understanding, given in a lower way, not in a way that's hovering over your mind, but in a way that you can understand it. Only through this can you connect to the essence of the inner dimension of Torah. So continuing along this line, the Rebbe says like this: in this paradigm, this way of thinking that we've established, that specifically when something goes to a lower place, that's when you connect to the essence. That's something which is very relevant to the inner dimension of Torah specifically. Something about the inner dimension of Torah specifically, which in this part of Torah you see more how the lower it goes, the more you get closer to the essence. It says in chassidus that our relationship to Hashem nowadays is like an engagement. As it says in the Torah, I will be betrothed to you forever. When Mashiach will come, we'll have the marriage. So that means that when Hashem gave us the Torah, it was only an engagement. Our connection to Hashem was like an engagement. When Mashiach will come, that will be the perfect, the complete relationship with Hashem in a way of marriage. And that's the meaning of what it says in the Torah. On that day, you will call me my husband. You won't call me anymore Baali. Baali also can mean, Baali usually means husband, it also can mean master. So that's something that could be, that's a term that could be used also in an engagement. But Ishi, my husband, that's something that is especially relevant to a marriage, and that's something that we will attribute to Hashem. We'll call Hashem our husband. Mashiach will come because when Hashem gave us the Torah until this point, all that we received was the revealed parts of Torah. Mashiach will come, we're going to have the full revelation, the inner dimension of Torah, and thus there'll be the marriage with Hashem. So there's something about the inner dimension of Torah which is associated with marriage, and the revealed parts of Torah which is associated with engagement. What's the difference between engagement and marriage? In engagement, what's achieved in the relationship is only that the woman who is engaged is now forbidden to marry anybody else. She's not yet united and one with her husband, but there's no hamshacha b'pnimius, there's no internal connection between them yet. Just externally, she can't go marry anybody else. So there's the connection between them is makif. She's designated to marry him. She can't marry anybody else. But only through marriage is there the union of husband and wife, and there's a intimate and internal and deep connection. And so too, when Hashem gave us the Torah, that when the Torah was given to us on Mount Sinai, all that was revealed to us was the external part of Torah, the revealed parts of Torah. The inner dimension of Torah remained hovering, meaning it was hidden. It wasn't revealed at that time. When Mashiach will come, then Hashem will reveal to us the inner dimension of Torah, and it will be internalized within us. So we see an analogy between marriage and engagement and how that compares to Mount Sinai, where there's external connection, it's makif. We don't have the inner dimension of Torah inside of us, and when Mashiach will come, we're going to get the inner dimension of Torah and we're going to absorb it internally. So it's similar to the union of marriage, that the union of marriage is that there's a life in the connection. There's an excitement in the connection through marriage, and so too the inner dimension of Torah connects to the life of our neshama and the life of the Torah. So since the inner dimension of Torah is associated with the inner union of marriage, so just like in marriage, there is specifically something which seems to be very external, very physical, and yet in this union, which is very physical, there is a connection of essence. So too, in regarding the inner dimension of Torah, that although we're talking about bringing it down to a lower level, bring chassidus down to logic, yet in that activity of bringing it down to logic, you actually connect to essence, much as in marriage. The chassidus says the difference between a teacher and a student, and a husband and a wife, the difference in their union is that when a teacher teaches a student, what is he giving him? He's giving him something spiritual, not the essence. The teacher cannot give the child a new head, in the language of chassidus. All he could do is give him something that he could already absorb. He can't give him a brand new head. When the student has intelligence on his own, then the teacher could give him something he didn't have before. However, with the husband and wife, although it's a physical connection, and in the drop that comes from the husband to the wife, it's a very physical thing, yet in that drop there is the essence, and through this essence there could be a brand new child, a child who has a cup stone. You can, in that union, there is a production of a brand new entity. And so too, with the inner dimension of Torah, when the Alter Rebbe brought chassidus down to logic, although he's bringing it down, yet in this activity, he's connecting to and revealing the essence of Torah, much as in marriage, where although it's a physical flow from husband to wife, yet in that flow there is the essence. So this brings us to another point. The Yetzer Hara could say, okay, if the Alter Rebbe wants to bring the inner dimension of Torah into logic, the Yetzer Hara can say, since you can't understand chassidus anyways, so what's your connection to chassidus? The Alter Rebbe is about bringing it down to Chabad, understanding. You don't get understand. You're not one of those intellectuals. You don't get this. So what do you have to do with chassidus? Chassidus has to do with intellect. You're not an intellectual. So the answer is, what did we just say? Chassidus brings down the essence. When a teacher is teaching a student, in order for the student to receive from the teacher, the student has to be able to understand the teacher. He has to use his own mind. And if the student cannot understand the words of the teacher and just hear the words of the teacher, so then nothing has happened. There's no transfer. The student has heard words and it's in some box. It's in some box in his head. He hasn't absorbed anything. He doesn't understand it. However, in Ashpa Pnimis, when there is something that's flowing from the inner dimension of the giver to the receiver, like in the creation of a child, so it doesn't matter the understanding. All it matters is that the seed is absorbed, and now and once it's absorbed, doesn't matter if there's understanding or not understanding. There's able to be a production of a brand new child, a lively child, and something that can continue on, and the child can have more children and more children because of the infinite power of Hashem that is revealed in childbirth. So only with a teacher and a student, there has to be some kind of a logic for the student to absorb what the teacher is saying. But when you're giving the essence doesn't need to have a recipient. The essence just needs to have the giver and the recipient to receive without understanding it. So too regarding chassidus, since chassidus gives us not just the information. When you're learning chassidus, you're also getting the essence of the inner dimension of Torah. So the main thing is not the understanding of it. The main thing is to absorb it. And now, what does it mean to absorb it? Like in the analogy of a husband and wife, that the woman receives the seed, and the seed is now absorbed in her, and the sperm fertilizes the egg. What does that mean in a personal level, that you're learning chassidus and the essence of Hashem that's revealed in the dimension of Torah is now being absorbed in you? What does that mean? What that means is that there's a change. The analogy of the husband and wife on a personal level means that there's some kind of change in the way you think, and the way you speak, and the way you act. That's a sign that you've really absorbed it. And then you could have birth. Just like when a woman absorbs the seed, there could be, it fertilizes the egg, now there could be a new child. So too, if there's something that chassidus does that causes a change in you, that's the main thing that it says. Don't worry about you understood, you didn't understand. There's something else that's going on when learning chassidus. You're getting in touch with the essence of godliness that's in the inner dimension of Torah when you learn chassidus, whether you understand it or not. And if as long as it causes some kind of change in you, that means the sperm has fertilized the egg, and now you're able to have birth. What's birth mean? Birth means to have, the intellect produces the emotions of love and reverence for Hashem. You're able to have a son and a daughter, which, by the way, this is also a skula, as a spiritual remedy. To have children is to have love and reverence for Hashem, because the spiritual meaning of having children is love and reverence for Hashem. They're born from your understanding. So this also allows you to have a school. It's a spiritual remedy to have more love and reverence for Hashem. It's a spiritual remedy to have children. So it's understood that chassidus is relevant to every single one of us. because the Alter Rebbe didn't put any connections, any conditions about chassidus. He says, just hold on to the Rebbe's doorknob. That's what the Rebbe said. Just hold on to his doorknob. What does that mean? The previous Rebbe said that the Alter Rebbe said, whoever holds on to my doorknob, I will take him out of dire constraints to comfort, from physical to the spiritual, and from Gehenna. And Rabbi Cashapp explained, the previous Rebbe continues, what does it mean that he'll take us out from dire constraints to comfort? That means he'll take us out from the world of Bria and bring us to the world of Atzilus. From the physical to the spiritual means he'll bring us to the lower world of Gan Eden, Yitzira to Bria. And from Gehenna means he'll take us out of this world. What is the? Let's focus on the words of the Alter Rebbe. The words of the Alter Rebbe are very specific. In the first two instances, in the first two phrases of the Alter Rebbe, he doesn't just mention the place where he's taking you from, he also mentions where he's going to bring you to. He says, I'm going to bring you out of dire constraints to comfort, from Bria to Atzilus. And in the second phrase, he says, out from the physical to the spiritual, from Yetzirah to Bria. And in the third instance, he just says, from Gehenna, which is parallel to this world. He doesn't say where he's going to bring you. So it seems like the place he's going to bring you is a place that has no definition. And therefore doesn't mention where he's taking you to, because this is a place that doesn't have a name, it can't even be hinted to. What does that mean? Because this physical world is the purpose of the creation of all the worlds. And this is, all the higher worlds are dependent on what goes on in this world. Even the highest world are dependent on what goes on in this world. And therefore, regarding this physical world, the Alter Rebbe says that he only mentions where he's taking us out of, he doesn't mention where he's going to take us to, because through the physical world, which is the purpose of creation, you're able to reach a place which is beyond any definition. But the only condition to this is to hold on to the Rebbe's doorknob. What's the meaning? The doorknob is not the door itself. It's not the house itself. It's only the doorknob. It's something which is secondary and insignificant in comparison to the door. But since it's something that is a function for the door, so it becomes a part of the door and a part of the house. In regards of Tum and Tara, when something is using something which is attached to the house, when something is a tool, something which is attached to the house, it has a halachic status of the house itself. What does it mean in our life to hold on to Alter Rebbe's doorknob? Even someone knows by himself, he knows in his own soul, that I'm not inside, I don't understand chassidus, yet when you know with certainty, and you made a very strong decision, that no matter what happens, you're going to hold on to the Alter Rebbe's doorknob. Right now, you're holding on only to the doorknob. But automatically, this will cause that eventually you'll do all that you can to get inside. Right now, you're up the doorknob. You're making a decision, I'm not letting go, and automatically you can do whatever you can to get inside. So the Alter Rebbe will do the rest, Rebbe says. The Alter Rebbe will do the rest. He'll fulfill his promise to lift us out of Gehenna, which is this physical world, out of the physical, which is Olam Yitzira, to the spiritual, which is the world of Bria, and from constraints, which is the world of Bria, and bring us to comfort, which is the world of Atzilus. Now we'll have the highest aliyah, the highest elevation, as we said before, that from this physical world, the Alter Rebbe we're able to specifically connect to bring the Shechina in this physical world, which the Shechina can only be revealed in this physical world. So basically, the Rebbe concludes, every single Jew has to hold on to the Rebbe's doorknob, and through this, the Alter Rebbe will take him out and lift him to the highest of heights until the Jewish people and the Torah and Hashem will become one through the merit of our holy Rebbeim. May they, through our holy Rebbeim, all right.